Good morning, Mortgage Coach community. Dave Savage, every Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock Pacific. I'm here to interview someone amazing. And this morning, that amazing person is Cody Touchette out of Seattle, Washington. What's up, Cody?
How's it going, Dave?
Going good, buddy. Hey, I pumped about our interview. Everybody I talk to that knows you is just like, that guy is awesome. You know, you are just so well respected and liked by your peers. I don't know.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. So we're going to get right into it, guys. We are on Facebook Live. So if you're watching this from Facebook and you have questions, when I'm not talking, I will try to look into Facebook Live and bring your questions in. And for those of you that are in Zoom watching this live, if you have questions for Cody or myself, bring it. We're going to have this as interactive as you guys make it. So it's up to you to make this as interactive as you want it. So Cody has averaged over $100 million past couple of years. What was it, about 101, 102 last year?
102 last year, 98.5 the year before.
So killing it. And I know when we had our prep call yesterday, you did, was it 28 or 26 loans last month?
28 for 10.5 last month. Yeah.
Boom. So you're having a solid year.
Yep.
How many families have you served and how much have you done so far for the year?
138 so far year to date, and we're at 60 million.
Nice. And in terms of number of families served annually to get over that 200 million, just give us a feel for that.
2 years ago at 98, it was 302. And then last year at 102 million, it was 270. So obviously our loan sizes have gone up over that window of time. And this year probably won't even be the same number of units, and we'll look to get up and over 100 million again, but on fewer units.
Yeah, well, congrats on your success. You were definitely killing it. The goal of today is to find out some of the reasons, some of the strategies that you're using to do well in the marketplace. If you could just describe your mortgage practice a little bit, you know, a little bit about your market, a little bit about your referral sources. Yeah,
you bet. So I've been in the mortgage business since 2000, so I've been around for a while. The lion's share of our business comes from realtors. Last year we were about 65% realtor and 35% past client or past client referral. That 35% is what I'm most proud of, though. I mean, obviously that's a leg of business that you can stand on for a long time. We do a lot with our past clients, with events and continual contact, but realtors obviously are a big part of that as well. We follow a number of campaigns to stay in touch and stay in front of realtors on a regular basis as well. I've got a team. I've got two front side. I'm in the core, so we call them LP1s. They're basically front side contract up until contract. So they qualify, run credit, view pay stubs, all that sort of stuff. And then once we get into contract, I've got two guys that run the back end side, contract to close through processing. I also have a team captain and a dialer, somebody that just follows up on leads and books appointments for me.
Love it. So guys, if you have any questions about Cody's team, about his practice, bring it in. What's your tech stack look like? You know, what type of CRM, what technology are you using that drives, you know, your mortgage practice?
Yeah, so at our company, we have our own LOS, so we're not on Encompass or anything like that. As far as continual monitoring, we do use Jungo with Salesforce. That's a relatively new addition. We've been in that for about a year. It's been revolutionary for our business with assigning tasks and workflows and monitoring both leads, in-process transactions, and post-close transactions. Obviously, MortgageCoach we use with every single lead. They get a total cost analysis. Use Rate Watch as well on a regular basis to push information out to our real estate agents. Have for talks at our sales meetings when we talk to both our branch and the real estate branches that we talk in front of. Let's see, boy, the mobile app for Jungo has been amazing too. Like I didn't have a client's number. I was headed to the game last night and I popped right in there and was able to dial them right from the app, and it makes a note that I made that call for my assistant, so she knows that I just got off the phone with them too. Love it.
So takeaway for everybody, you know, one, Cody is a modern mortgage professional. He's connecting with people. He's also using technology. And I love the fact that you're using your mobile app while you're out and about. Are you using the Mortgage Coach mobile app very often? And if so, how are you using it?
I use the Rate Watch app regularly when I'm out and about, when I'm meeting with a client or meeting with an agent. And then the way I usually use the Mortgage Coach app is with a TCA, is just usually for review. So, I'll be on the phone with a client and they're looking at the numbers, and I'm, out and about in the field, and I just pop in there in the mobile app and pull it up and review those numbers. Or, sometimes I'm sitting with an agent and they're wondering about what's going on. We've got a number of TCAs built for different scenarios. So not specific to a client, but specific to buy versus rent, or waiting to buy, or, maybe refinancing a primary to free up cash for looking at additional rentals or additional investments. So I've got those saved and ready to go. So I'll have those conversations while I'm on the fly pretty regular on my phone.
Great. Hey, real quick, you brought up the fact that everybody gets a total cost analysis. Who creates the total cost? Is it you, your team? If you could just give us a feel.
Yeah, so that's my LP1s, that's part of their gig, right? So normal process transaction, it's just built into how we run the business, is when we get a new client, I will reach out and convert that lead, tell them what's next, how we go from there. We get the application in, and then my team runs the application, qualifies, gets them all set, gets me basically a one-page analysis of, hey, here's what we see, here's what we have questions on, here's where we see this going from here, and here's the TCA. So I already have a TCA built when I have that follow-up phone call with that client to say, hey, here's what we see, here's what we have questions on, and as that conversation is going, I've got the TCA up, and if we answer a question and, well, their income was net, not gross, or their income they gave me was every 2 weeks instead of every month, or whatever the change was that they didn't quite have right, I'm making that adjustment on the fly. But it's very easy to adjust that total cost analysis because it's already built for me and ready to go. So then once I've got that, then I've got them on the phone, I ship that total cost analysis out to them, and then we review that on the phone while they're there. I just say, hey, are you in front of a computer? Can you look at some numbers real quick? And most of the time the answer is yes. We talk about it. I love the live features where I can push a button and highlight something, because oftentimes people don't quite know what they're looking at the first couple of times through. If they're not in front of a computer, then I say I'm going to send them the link. And I also have a templated email that goes along with it so that they can see, hey, here's the most common boxes that people are looking for. Happy to share that. I think we already sent it over to you, Dave. But that's been really helpful for people to understand that TCA. And then, of course, I love the box on the back side of the TCA that alerts me when they've seen it, right? So if we didn't get a chance to review them over the phone, then as soon as I get that email back in and I say, hey, the Smiths look at their TCA, pop on the phone, give them a call and say, hey, did you get a chance to look at that? Oh, I'm looking at it right now. You don't say. Okay, great. Let's talk about it.
Love it. Well, let's do this. And, call it the last third of the call. Let's pull out a couple mortgage strategies and we'll go through how you walk clients through that. I know in today's market, rate shopping is a big issue. So I'd like to get a feel for how many leads are you getting to close those loans? And what is your conversion? Are you seeing more rate shopping in today's market? So if you could answer that, and then I have another question.
Well, we're definitely seeing more rate shopping in today's market for sure. I mean, that's just part of the game with, margin compression, as they say. There's, fewer and fewer pieces to the pie, and there's more loan officers that didn't have any purchase business now that are looking for purchase business. So it's putting the squeeze on all the folks like, us that have been 75, 80% purchase along the way. There's a lot more folks playing in our sandbox. And so, we're seeing a lot more price competition for sure. We try to use value to sell that. Right now, obviously we can't be dramatically out of the market. So, most companies have made adjustments and pricing has gotten better and better. But oftentimes we can see that we're a quarter off or an eighth off of a big bank or a credit union or some, internet lender. So what we use is our value to compete against that, right? We send them a total cost analysis. And I love a big fan of Danny Harani. He mentioned that one of the things he says is, great, show me the total cost analysis you got from that online lender. And they say, well, I didn't get one. Oh, okay. So then we go back to our total cost analysis and then we look at the numbers. And I've even put someone else's quote into my total cost analysis and showed them how little of a difference it made. And then, my biggest script around that too is, especially with our investor clients, but also with just regular first-time home buyers is, you're following our advice right now. And this is our advice right now. But what you're going to get is, as time goes by, our advice might change. Just recent good example, the tax law changed in the beginning of this year, right? So there's a totally new thought process around how people are managing their mortgage when it comes to taxes. And if you're getting your loan from an order taker or an online lender, they're not going to have that advice for you. They're going to have an eighth lower interest rate than me at the time, right? And so if that's what they have, then that's great. But if they don't have the advice, the structure, the strategy that I've got down the road, that $10, $15, $30 per month right now could turn into tens of thousands of dollars of mistake when you look at your next mortgage or the mortgage after that.
Love it. Love it. So you are delivering value. That is part of your competitive advantage. If there was a way that you just articulate your competitive advantage or your value, do you have a value proposition script? Do you have something, maybe it's a script, maybe it's talking points, but like 30 seconds to a minute that you say to every client that kind of sets the stage? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, well, that's one of the biggest things that we have is our strong local name, right? So both the company I work for and my own personal team has a really great reputation in our local area marketplace, right? And so what we do is we sell local, right? I say I like to buy local and I like to sell local. So when I'm looking for a good or service, I like to buy it here in town. I hope that you'll do the same. And I promise you, we're going to be competitive. We may not be the absolute lowest price, but we are going to be the best advice, and we're going to be the best execution. We're going to get your loan closed, and we're going to do it quicker than anybody else can in town.
Love that. So everybody take note how he's playing into his advantage, which is I'm local, and that, trumps all the online lenders, all the technology companies that do mortgages. And now it's just a question of connecting emotionally, answering questions. Someone just jumped in and wanted to know, how are you having the rate watch conversation? Phil Black just asked that question.
With realtors or clients, I guess I can go both ways.
By the way, Adam Black. Sorry about that, Adam.
Oh,
go ahead. Adam Black.
So we use Rate Watch in both regards, with real estate agents and with clients. And so oftentimes I'm talking in front of a group, and so I'll bring in a snapshot for the day, and I just give them a little explanation of what this is doing. And I take it back to way back in the Todd Duncan days and talking to Barry Habib about artfully confusing your customer, right? It sounds funny, but once they know that you know more than they know, they tend to believe you and say, okay, I get this, right? And so if you can explain Japanese candlestick charting in a couple of seconds and understand where those, what those wicks and those daily movement means and kind of what it means for going forward, not necessarily a guarantee, obviously, that no one can guess what's going to happen exactly tomorrow, but this is a predictor, right? It's one more thing that we do that most loan officers don't, to keep an eye on things and try to help save you money in your mortgage.
Love it.
Clients, I do the same thing. I just spin the screen around and say, hey, look at this. I'm going to show you a longer term graph. Here's 3 months, and then here's this week. And so when we look at that, we say, and oftentimes I'll say, hey, my advice is this, but it's really your choice. Given this chart and this graph and what we just talked about, what is your choice, whether we lock or float? And we let them have that choice. And most of the time they just say, well, boy, by that time they're whatever you think, Cody, right? And that's a great spot to be, because then chances are good the actual rate conversation is now out the window, because they know I have been watching this and I know where we're at, and I know when it's the right time to lock and when it's the right time to float.
Love it. And by the way, folks, this is strategy number 8 in our lead conversion playbook. If you're watching this on a video, we'll put the lead conversion playbook down below. And we'll also throw it in comments, or not comments, but in chat. So if you're watching this right now, we'll put the lead conversion playbook. But that is strategy number 8. Tony Blodgett and I did a great interview on that. I know you and Tony are good friends. Every time
Tony for a long time, yeah.
Say hi, Cody.
Hey.
Yeah. So let's do this. So I think we've got your tech stack. You're using your CRM. Your team's using your CRM. I hope everybody took away the fact that he's consistently delivering an exceptional experience. He's crystal clear on what makes him unique and valuable in the marketplace. The customer's getting that. Let's just talk about winning the day and winning the week. What, for a guy like you, what is, let's just do winning the day first. What is winning the day for you? and then let's go winning the week. And remember, folks, keep asking questions. Adam, thanks for getting the party started. I'll look for some more.
Yeah. Well, so I mentioned it earlier, I'm coached by the core. And so my day is not my day. My day is their day, right? They dictate what I do. and I just have soldiered up and followed along. And so, you know, a big part of my day is the greatness tracker, right? So for me to win the day, I've got to win the week, go backwards, I've got to get a full greatness tracker, right? So for me, that's 15 face-to-face meetings, 5 break breads, 60 great phone calls, videos, 20 hours of prospecting per week, 10 handwritten thank you cards, and then some leads and deals that we track as well. So the activity is what really begets the business, right? And so by tracking that activity and having accountability for turning in my tracking of the accountability really makes a difference. So then to peel it back, I've got daily prospecting times that are built into my schedule. So Monday through Friday from 9 till noon is blocked out for time blocking, or is blocked out for prospecting. And so that prospecting goes like that, follows for me. On Monday, it's realtor and partner. So realtors, CPAs, financial planners, business industry folks that I'm calling. Generally speaking, my list is about 70 people every week. I will I guess we didn't talk about phone burner. So I use phone burner inside of Jungo, and that changed my life. So that's the one more thing to add to the tech stack that you've got to have. I can load up 70 phone calls inside of phone burner, and I can get those calls done inside of 2 hours every time, no matter how long I talk to anybody, right? Generally, it's usually about an hour, 45 minutes to talk to dial 70 people. So that's Monday. Monday is partner calls.
Hey, wait, time out. I want to make sure I got this. So how many phone calls are you making per day between that 9 to noon period?
For me, it's 70 to 100, depending on the day. And I've got a dialer that's also making between 150 and 200 calls a day.
And so how many conversations are you having per day?
Yeah, so the realtor calls, out of 70, usually I will get 12 to 14 on a regular basis. And then throughout the day, another 5 or 6 will usually give me a call back that day. And then the great thing about that is it sets me up for the rest of the week too, because realtors then are calling me back a couple on Tuesday, a couple on Wednesday, a couple on Thursday, right? And so we're routinely getting there. And then on the next Monday, if I call them again and they hadn't called me back or we didn't talk, they're usually more likely to take my call because they realize they missed my call and they didn't call me back and they meant to, right? So, and some of those people on that list are prospects, and so they don't regularly pick up. But you know what's funny is you bang on that, bang on that, bang on that, bang on that nail, and you know, a week, 3 weeks, 6 weeks later, they finally pick up, or they finally call back, or they send a text, say, "Hey man, I appreciate your consistency, and I got a deal for you. Call me back." Right? It happens routinely.
Love that. So I want to make sure I got this. So you're talking to at least 10, if not 20 people per day. You're in a lot of conversations.
Yes.
And so, by the way, takeaway for everyone, because I interview loan officers that are the best of the best. You're a $100 million producer, so you're at that highest echelon of success. But more times than not, when I'm interviewing a loan officer or I'm just having a casual conversation, whatever their prospecting time and whatever their quality conversations are, it equals their success level. The most successful people have the most conversations and have the most intentional conversations. So I just want to make sure everybody got that. By the way, someone did ask me to repeat, it is phone burner.
Phone burner, yes.
Yeah, but I want to remind you guys, this is recorded. It'll be in our YouTube channel. So you can re-listen to this call and get anything that you didn't get out of it. So anyways, keep going. I just want to make sure people connected the dots on those dots.
Yeah, so that's Monday. Tuesday, we call uncommitted leads, and we have 2 categories of leads. And so the first one is a app or a lead, no app, right? So it's a lead that we got from a realtor or somewhere else, and they have not yet applied. Then there's another category of app, no docs, right? So they've applied, maybe we've got a pre-qual, but they're not really out there ready to shop because we don't have their supporting documents yet. And the reason why we break them out, and to go back to Monday as well, is inside of phone burner, and there's another dialer, Mojo dialer, there's probably a few others, but I use phone burner. Inside of phone burner, I have the opportunity to record a pre-recorded voicemail, and that's how I can get through all those calls in that short amount of time. And so what we can do is we can pre-record a voicemail, And then when the dialer program opens up, you push a button and it goes. And then if somebody picks up, you have a conversation. If somebody doesn't pick up and there's somebody you really know and like, and you don't want to necessarily leave them a pre-recorded voicemail, you have the option to leave them a specific voicemail. Then if they're maybe a targeted prospect or someone that you don't really talk to on a regular basis, you push a button and it drops a pre-recorded voicemail. So I can drop that pre-recorded voicemail, which can be a minute, 2 minutes long, right? I mean, obviously it usually is a minute to 90 seconds so that they'll listen to it. But I drop that in their inbox or in their voicemail box, and it didn't take me but 10 seconds. I listen to it ring. As soon as their voicemail picks up, I hit a button and it moves on to the next one. So it's very efficient, right? I can get through a lot of calls quickly. And the reason why that's important is we've got the 2 sets of leads on Tuesday. And the one set of lead is a lead, no app. That's a different voicemail than the app, no docs. And so I've got them separated out. So we load up 2 lists, right? One is, hey, you were referred to us and we have not yet got your application, script around that based on the day. Then it's, hey, thanks so much for your application. Now to follow up and get you to the fully pre-approved stage, we've sent you a checklist of items that we need to get in to get verified so that we can get you fully pre-approved. And that doesn't have to be, hey, Sally, I'm still looking for your W-2. It's, we've got your application. We need a couple more documents. We've emailed you the list, right? So it can be generic enough that you can just drop that voicemail. But again, anytime somebody picks up, you can have a live conversation.
Love it. Love it. So guys, I want to, Cody, just really quick go through this lead conversion playbook because I think you so epitomize so many of the best practices. So when I put this together, gang, I mean, I took the Scriptapalooza that we did, I transcribed that, I took a lot of interviews that I've done over the past year, transcribed those, studied them. And so, this first one, technology isn't going to replace loan officers, but loan officers like Cody that are high touch, local professionals that leverage tech, they're absolutely replacing loan officers that don't. And Cody, by the way, I had a question here. I might as well ask you right now. With all this talk of Amazon Mortgage, Zillow now has a mortgage company. What are you doing to prepare yourself for the future? And what's your take on all of that?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. And it's going to happen. There's not really a way that you can avoid it. And you can either sidestep it or get run over by it. And I don't want to get run over by it. So, my version of sidestepping that is just like it says in your playbook, right, is to become the local area expert and utilize technology to leverage to get in front of more people and to be able to close more loans, right? I believe strongly that in the next 3 to 7 years, we're going to probably have to do double the loans to make the same money. And so I would like to keep making the same money. And so I'm prepping and getting ready to be able to use technology and staffing to leverage to be able to do twice as many loans in a 3 to 4 year period of time.
Well, I love that. And by the way, make note of what he said. Over the next 3 to 7 years, I am operating under the belief that I need to do double the production I'm doing now to make the same amount of income between comp, the comp issues, between technology. Remember, it's the consumer that's demanding this. It's the technology that's coming into the market that is driving this change, that is driving this efficiency. You definitely epitomize number 2, where you're connecting. I actually need to figure out how to add the word local into this. You're creating digital friends. And I know this because when I first talked to you, you were very proud of that 35% of your business that comes from past customers. Yeah. And while you have 1,000 past customers, I know you're really focusing on, 500 of them. So right, yes. Cody is very intentional around creating these digital friends, which means they've downloaded his MortgageCoach app. I noticed that you're doing multi-channel communication. You're not just relying on email. And when you are using the phone, it's technology enabled so that you're getting more touch points. What are you doing from a text perspective and multi-channel communication?
Yeah, so that's a great point. And I always preach to my team that we communicate in the way that the customer communicates with us, right? So we ask them if we can have a phone conversation when it's time. But if they're more comfortable on text, then we're converting that lead via text. If they're comfortable on email, we're converting that lead via email. whatever it is that they want, right? And so having that capability to be able to do all those things is really key. And so, Salesforce, Jungo, obviously we can text, we can email, and we can video conference right out of there, right? So dial the phone number right out of Jungo. So no matter how they want to be communicated with, we can do it inside of our CRM and have record that we did it that way.
Love it. Love it. And then notice, Cody's doing all this stuff. He is taking the borrower and taking the focus off rates and monthly payment and putting the focus on cost over time and giving every single family a total cost analysis. So it's not just price. His biggest competitive advantage when he gets to that rate shopping game is not a price exception. It's his advice. And you'll even notice when you go through these strategies, I don't want to go through them one by one, but I noticed that you are already up on, which one is it? Number 11. You even referenced that, you've got number 11 ready to roll. Any of these particular strategies you think more important than others, like the first two are quality of referral source, any of the first, 7 strategies that you feel like this is the most important?
Well, I'm not sure which number it is, but the one that we've really moved to in the last couple of months is getting face-to-face. I'm not sure what number that is, but
that is number 7.
Yeah, it's really important, and it's really upped our conversion. I think the number was up another 8% versus when we don't meet these people in person. So, again, 1 out of every 10 that we were going to lose, now we get them again. So, for me, that's been really key, and we're pushing more and more to get that. What's funny too is that we've actually started to expand into a couple of different markets. I recently got my license in Oklahoma, of all places. And it's funny, the folks there that I've been talking to, they'd love to be in person, but they don't mind being on the phone and using a little bit of technology, but they don't like a big bank. They don't like, an online only lender. They want somebody that they know is a real person and they can talk to and that's a pro.
Yeah, no, that market, Brian Bomar, Heather Bomar's, they're market leaders in that market. And again, they're big on face-to-face. I am seeing a growing trend. If you are a local mortgage professional, getting face-to-face is the highest conversion. Now, with that said, when you read strategy number 7, the number 2 is to be able to drive that live experience. And Cody mentioned that, where he gives them the total cost analysis. So he gives them a digital link and then he drives it as a live experience. So it's on the phone and they're following along. And then number 3 is just video, adding that video. And I would advocate to everybody on this call, even if you meet the family in person, add a video to the total cost analysis, because remember, it's not just the person that was in your office that's making this decision. There are influencers. Mm-hmm. Could be the father-in-law that's loaning them the down payment. Could be the buddy at work that's a real estate investor and is trying to steer them to his lender. There are other influencers, and when you deliver that total cost analysis, you put a video on it, you are taking your advice and you are making it social, so that everybody involved in the decision, they're getting graphs and charts on a mobile device, and they're getting that video. So I'm with you. Strategy number 7 is huge. By the way, community, any questions around that one? Let's see if anybody, so no questions, although we are getting a lot of chat. Cody, any other, how do you sell face-to-face? Why don't we just do that script real quick? Whoever on your team is meeting with the borrower and they're trying to get them to come face-to-face, if you could just give us some scripting around that.
As far as booking the appointment, so my dialer usually will do the follow-up to try to get that booked. And our script used to be, and this is an interesting thing, it used to be we would try to drive them to the phone, right? Because it was more efficient and it was what I wanted, not necessarily what they wanted. So we would, and it all the way to the online application, right? We didn't want to take an application in person. We wanted them to do it online. So we'd have some information beforehand. So we would frame the question in the right manner, right? Hey, we can take, you can book an hour to come into the office to do the application. I can take your application over the phone in 30 to 45 minutes, or we can send you a link. You can do it at home in your pajamas. It'll probably take you 15, 20 minutes to go through it. right? So given those three choices, what would you take? You'd probably take the online application. And so we framed it in the way that we wanted someone to do it. Now we're kind of rechanging that, right? We're moving that around. And so we just say, we just lead with, boy, Cody would really like to get in front of you, be able to really explain this. It's a big decision. We want to be able to spend that time with you and make sure that you get all your questions answered. Would you be able to come into the office on Tuesday at 4? And then just be quiet, right? And so that's been the biggest shift, is that we are really trying to get butts in seats and get these folks in here, because boy, when you get in front of somebody, more than likely you're gonna convert them, right? When you're on the phone, when you're on email, you're just another name, just another face.
Love it. Yeah. Plus they've invested. They've taken time, because at the end of the day, that client has shopping time. And
one of my coaches would go so far as to have them bring all their documents in and like say, okay, great, we're going to make copies of these. Do you mind if we get them back to you at the end? Oh, no. Okay. That's okay. Well, how easy is it to shop if I've got all your documents?
Yeah. So
I've not gone that far, but it sounded funny.
I understand, but do it every best practice. So we're doing strategy number 8. Strategy number 9, which is, let's face it, there's more pre-approval funnels have grown. The incubation time from TBD to house and escrow is longer. Obviously, you're delivering a total cost analysis to everyone, but any best practices on how you're following up with that pre-approval funnel and how you're using the total cost analysis within that process?
Yeah, we actually didn't get to finish my my week. Monday is realtor, Tuesday is uncommitted prospects, Wednesday are past clients. So the call there is to invite them to something, thank them for something, or do an annual mortgage review. Then on Thursday, we are calling our pre-approved prospect list. So every Thursday, we're on the phone with everybody that we've got pre-approved. And so usually my dialer and I will chop up that list. So she calls them on this week, and I called it. So A through K or whatever, she calls those, and then I call K through Z that week, and then we flip-flop the next week. So that list had grown at the peak of low inventory to probably 110, 115 people. So we had to chop it up. Now I can actually do it. It's a little bit more manageable because we take in a client and we get a contract a little more regularly. So those calls were key, right? And so inside of that call, the script goes, hey, it's Cody with Caliber Home Loans. We've got you pre-approved. I just wanted to check in and see how the search is going, right? Let them talk for a few minutes. Great. Anything changed for you guys? Yeah, I took a new job. No, everything's the same. But it gives us a chance to suss out if there's anything that's different, if they're getting frustrated. Do you need to increase your purchase price? Do you want to see what another $100 a month gets you as far as a house? Have you been into any new construction, right? Well, I was able to save 3 deals last year for my agents, for people that walked onto plats and were about to buy on a new construction plat or a new construction condo, and they hadn't registered their agent. So their agent would have been cut out of that deal. 2 of those deals I ended up losing to the builder's lender, but I got one and my agents got each one of them.
Love it. Yeah. So I'm going to go
to round that out real quick, to round that out on Fridays. So Thursdays we call pre-approved buyers, and then also my team are calling all of our in-process buyers. So we're giving them their Thursday update. So they get an update from us every Thursday, no matter what happens, right? So they'll also get the appraisal update. They'll also get the approval update, but every Thursday we call them to make sure that they're in good shape and that they know where they're at in the loan process. The realtor gets that update, the listing agent gets that update, and the clients get that update. And then on Friday, I call my VIPs. So, I've got a VIP list, and those are my 50 best past clients, 50 best business partners, 50 best folks that don't fit into any of the other lists. And we call through them once a month. So every Friday, there's 12 to 13 calls on that list.
Love that. So guys, highly recommend you go back and listen to this interview, really nail that rhythm. I think it's as good, the best I've heard. Love it. Hey, I want to drill down a little bit on annual reviews, because in our conversion playbook, it's not just convert them from a suspect prospect to a loan, it's convert them to a client for life. And, we do annual reviews. By the way, Jungo has recently activated automating the annual reviews, which Cody, I'm looking forward to you being one of the first.
I love that.
Access to that. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh my
If
gosh.
you could just describe an annual review for folks, just so they understand it. And by the way, I do want to make sure, probably over the next few minutes, that we go over a couple TCAs.
Sure.
I know you sent me a couple, look like past client reviews, refi, and you sent a couple that you use in purchase.
Yep.
I don't know if you want me to pull up one of those, but if you could just walk us through annual reviews and the total cost analysis.
Sure. Yeah. So what we do on annual review, we get every month we get a list, and it goes to my LP1s, and they filter those in as they have time in between pre-quals, and I will get them back, and then we just make the quick call. But what I do is we've got their mortgage information, and we've prepped a couple of scenarios, right? And so usually we've got scenarios of, here's what a new 30-year fixed, vanilla flavored, no points deals looks like for you. And so if somebody's at, 3.5, 3.75, we're going to show them where the market is, right? The idea there is, hey, you're good, right? You don't need to worry about refinancing. Forget about all the marketing materials you're getting in the mail. This is the going rate, and this is your rate. There's no money to be made. Then we show them a 15-year mortgage, right? And so oftentimes that can actually show them about the same rate or maybe a little bit less rate. Showing them that 15, and then we have a conversation around the tax strategies, right? So if their mortgage amount is smaller, likelihood is good they're not going to be able to write off their mortgage interest anymore in this tax year. So if that's the case, they may want to continue. They may want to think about accelerating their payment, moving to a 15-year mortgage. The TCA is perfect for that. It shows here's what you're going to pay if you make no changes on your mortgage versus here's the long-term cost, right? Not so much the monthly savings, because the monthly savings is not going to be sexy. They're not going to love it. But if you can show them that you can save them $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 over the life of their loan by moving to a 15-year mortgage and not really paying that much different than what they're paying now, well, now you might have a deal that you wouldn't have otherwise had. We also provide a 5-1 arm. So the 5-1 arm is just in case, hey, we're not thinking about moving yet, but we're only going to stay here for a couple more years. Okay, great. Now we have a great chance to have a conversation about maybe now is the right time to move. Prices are peaking. I don't know, who knows, but prices are high. If you're going to move out of the area, now might be a good time to look at that. If you're going to stay in the area, it might be a great time to make that move up before rates go any higher than where they are now. But here's a 5-1 arm in case you just want to stay for a little period of time, and here's what that can save you if you need to save some money on a monthly basis. And then we have a max cash out, right? Usually I'll pair that with a new 30-year fix because it's vanilla flavored. We'll show them here's how much cash you could get if you need to do some debt consolidation. Are you thinking about a second home, or are you interested in talking to us about investing in real estate, buying a rental either locally or out of market? So that's the 4 slots on that TCA. We've got 4 slots every time we have that conversation. And if nothing comes of it, great. We've already got it built for next time. Generally speaking, I like to do them every 6 months. So we're on the phone with our past clients every 6 months to go through the scenario and where we're at.
Wow. So you really are delivering at the point of sale. I'm going to help you. You make a good decision. I'm going to help close this loan, help you get the home in escrow that you want. And then I am going to manage your mortgage and help you build wealth with real estate through smart mortgage decisions. So
yes,
an 1/8 and a quarter in rate is like nothing compared to the wealth that a family can get working with you. So let's do this. We've got about 22 minutes left. Let's go through a couple TCAs just so folks can get a feel for this. And then I know you're a real estate investor. I know that's something you're passionate about. And it's also part of what gives you a unique advantage in the market. We'll close out around that. And again, folks, if you have questions, put them in chat, put them in the Q&A section of Zoom, and we'll get to those in the very end of the call. So which TCA do you want to go through? Do you want to go through purchase, why buy now? Do you want to go through scenarios?
I love our cost of waiting one. That's a good one. So we do that one. That'd be great.
Or no, wait, let's see. I think it's this one.
I think that's
right.
Yep, I think that's right. So the idea behind this one is to show them where we were, where we are today, and where the forecast is for going forward, right? And so sometimes people will say, well, geez, I'm worried that I missed it, right? And I will say, would it have been better to buy a year ago? Yes, but hindsight's always 20/20, right? You always have a better vision of the past than you do the future. But let's see what it was. let's see what it is today, and let's see what it would be maybe a year from now, right? Because if you're considering not buying now, are you considering waiting a year to buy, right? Yeah, I'm going to wait a year because I want to save up a little more money. Okay, sure, let's talk about that. So in this scenario, we've got July of 2017 purchase versus July of 2018 purchase versus July forecast for 2019. And so we just, we went backwards, and in our marketplace, we would have expected that value, that house to go up about 12%. So we're reflecting here, it was 360 before, it's 400 today. We look back a year ago, rates were around 4%. We look at rates today, almost 5%. Then we make a forecast, right? And this is where we maybe tweak this analysis a little bit, depending upon the person. Say, what do you think the market's going to do going forward? Well, it appears that it's going to stay strong, but I think it will probably slow down a little bit in growth. I agree. So we've given them a 6-7% increase in price point, which is pretty widely accepted. Then I don't think rates are going to go up quite as much, but maybe they're going to be around the same over the next year. And we've already seen them go up since July, right? So we forecast a 5.65 rate. So we show them that it doesn't really cost them a whole lot more money in upfront cash to buy in a year, but it's going to cost them a whole lot more in monthly mortgage payment, right? So they're saving about $350 per month by buying today versus buying a year from now.
Get it, love it. By the way, a few folks asked how they can learn more about Mortgage Coach. You can either email sales@mortgagecoach.com to get a demo. You could go online, press the buy button in the upper right-hand corner of mortgagecoach.com, $90 a month. Also, if you work for a company where we're built into their technology platform and we're provided by the company, again, email sales@mortgagecoach.com. We'll be happy to get you set up. And remember, guys, it's your personal brand. And so that when you deliver rates and fees, not only is your picture on it, not only is your contact information on it, it's super easy to share, at the click of a button. They can, email this, text this, Facebook this, multi-channel message it. And now your advice, your rates and fees are a competitive advantage.
And they can easily share it with dad or their realtor or whoever else is helping them make a decision. And it's well put together. And then, to follow up that too, right? $350 a month sounds like a lot of money for somebody that would be buying this type of house, but it's not a lot of money. But if you look in the bottom right corner, now you've got those green bars. That's where it really is a lot of money. So buying a house today versus buying a house in a year, if our analysis is right and you take all 30 years to make that payment, it's $100,000 difference.
Right. I love it. And remember, guys, when it comes to winning in the marketplace, you need to bring your local value, and then you need to blow up that value over time so that it's not just an eighth rate or quarter rate. Your advice makes a difference. So by the way, this is a great transition to the fact that not only are you a real estate investor, but you work with a lot of investors, and that brings a layer of value to your business. So could you just, describe your strategy a little bit? I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Maybe we'll pull up another. Well, by the way, before I do that, is there another TCA you want to make sure we highlight before we transition into that conversation?
Oh yeah, let's see, which the other one I sent you.
I know there's this one.
Yeah, we've got the other purchase one is kind of low down versus saving for some more down payment, right? We've got a killer 1% down conventional no MI product that, folks oftentimes will say, hey, I don't want to buy just yet. I want to save up some more money for down payment. And so I like to show them how much that actually means does that mean any difference for you, right? Like, does having another $20,000 or $30,000 really make a big difference in your payment? With this scenario, you've got 5% down conventional, you've got 3.5% down FHA, and you've got conventional 1% down versus in our market area, we've got the Washington State Housing Finance Commission. That's a down payment assistance program. So in this case, the 1% down program in column 3 is the best as far as monthly payment and cash out of pocket mix. And if you can say, hey, well, geez, I really want to be able to put 5% down, so I'm going to wait and save up $20,000 more. Well, in this case, that actually would cost you $100 more per month in monthly payment than our 1% down program would. So it doesn't really pay to wait and save. So the point of these, how I use MortgageCoach TCAs in the buy side is oftentimes to help folks make a good decision to get off the fence, right? I don't ever want to help somebody buy a house if it's not the right time for them to buy a house. But if it is the right time and they're just having a little struggle with the math and the numbers and or maybe a paradigm shift of I need to have some down payment or I need to have more down payment to be able to buy a house, that's not true in today's market. And I want to make sure that I show them that in graphs and charts and numbers.
So by the way, folks, if you did not connect the dots on that, put yourself in the shoes of a real estate agent. If you're working with a loan officer like Cody, where you know that he can help your borrower go from confusion on the fence to clarity off the fence and into escrow, and let's face it, paying the price that they need to pay to get the home, who do you want to work with? Do you want to work with a loan officer that can close loans? Because by the way, every loan officer can close loans in today's market. You know, there's a lot of great loan officers who can close loans, but there's not a lot of loan officers that can really help provide advice and help a borrower go from confusion to clarity like Cody can. So highly recommend everybody on this call, if you're not delivering a total cost analysis, it's more valuable than ever, not only because of the price compression, but where the puck is going. You know, with technology companies doing mortgages, doing a transaction is not where the money is made. The money is made by one, using your CRM, prospecting daily, so you do a great job of lead gen, and you do a great job of advice, not just conversion, but being an advisor. And then, I don't want to say forget about the transaction, it's just that that's going to be more and more of a commodity, and then do a great job of clients for life. You know, at least do an annual review. And you heard Cody, out of his 2,000 clients, they're identifying 500 of them that they're doing biannual reviews. And, you know, if you do that, I mean, you just do not need to worry about Amazon Mortgage. You're going to have a great book of business and you're going to thrive regardless of market conditions. Anything else you want to say to that, Cody?
Yeah, you had mentioned it earlier, but I wanted to, you know, cap it too, is that by putting this together and sending it off, they're able to share it out. And I could probably explain this in 5 minutes and be well over anybody's head just with numbers that I've got in my head. And I think everybody on this call probably is in the same boat, right? We know these numbers, we understand the products, and we understand how to get to the end result of you should buy now. But the clients don't, right? They don't understand this stuff near as well as we do. They don't work in it every day. And you could have this explanation, and in 5 minutes, you'd probably get them there. But in an hour or 2 or 3 days or 2 weeks, they're not going to be there anymore. And I find so many times that people come back and reference this. And again, I love that box that we check that says, hey, so-and-so just looked at their total cost analysis, because it lets me know that they had a question on it, right? They're back in there thinking about it. So then I can give them a call and make sure that they understood it the right way. But maybe they were sharing it with their agent. Maybe they're sharing it with their dad or their brother or somebody else that wants to buy a house, or maybe somebody that maybe is trying to influence them to go do something else. Now I'm on the horn and I can be in touch with them and retain that client.
Love it. And just to connect the dots for everyone, I also recently published a lead generation playbook. So we've got the lead conversion playbook, lead generation playbook, covers about 6 different principles that I'll bet you Cody is practicing all of these, and then 10 different strategies. And the point he just made is that delivering a total cost analysis is not only a conversion strategy, it's a lead gen strategy. Because once that TCA is shared, I hear all the times, oh, I picked up an advisor. I picked up another realtor. I picked up a family member, because you're turning that rate quote into a shareable, call it referral magnet, you know, tool. So anyways, Good point. Just wanted to make sure you guys, you know, also check out the lead generation playbook. So Cody, we've got about 10 minutes. I want to leave a few minutes at the end to just go back to the audience for questions. But I know when we did our prep, you know, I asked you something like, hey, you know your practice better than anyone. If you were in the audience, what would you want to know about you? And you said, hey, I'm proud of it. And 2, it's a value prop. of how you're, one, a real estate investor, and two, how you support and help other real estate investors.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's been a passion of mine for a long time, and now it's starting to actually result in more and more business as well. So I've been investing in real estate for the last 6 years. So I bought a fourplex, and then I bought a couple single families, and then it started with flipping houses in 2008 and 9 when the market corrected, right? I had a lot of time on my hands and I needed to make the ends meet, right? And so I went out and I started buying and flipping houses. And then the market shifted and things started getting better in 2011, right? We were busy with tax credits and low rates. So I got a little busy, but I still liked buying houses. So I bought them and I would keep them. And so as I was buying them and keeping them, I started to build a little bit of a following of other investors, folks that knew what I did and knew that I was creative inside of the bounds of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, but also had an eye towards investing in real estate and acquiring properties. And so I linked up with a couple of agents that have really taken that run with it. And we put together a couple of meetup groups and a couple of different ways that we're actively reaching out to investors. And this has meant a mountain of great stuff for my business. Number one, new real estate agents that I haven't been working with before that are investor focused. Working with investors are also people that once you gain their trust, now you're their guy or their gal, right? And so these folks buy multiple properties per year. We are continually looking at folks' portfolios and making moves. We're refinancing and pulling cash out. We're taking, with a lot of clients, there's a couple, and they've got a major breadwinner and maybe a minority breadwinner. And in that case, we're actually taking refinance transactions out of these databases and putting in a transaction that might be at 4.5, 4 5/8, 4 7/8, taking someone out of their 3.99 30-year fixed. But what we're doing is we're moving that mortgage to the primary breadwinner so that the minority breadwinner can go out and buy 10 properties because they don't have the saddle of, they're not saddled by that debt of their primary residence. It's only on their spouse now. So they've got great income, no debt, and they're free to go buy a bunch of rental properties. So we're helping people strategize to be able to buy 20 rental properties that are 1 through 4 unit properties. So inside of these meetups and these groups that we're sponsoring, there is a boatload of folks that want to do this, and they're doing it a few at a time. So we're really getting a ton of traction with these folks, and the type of client that's there, they've got spendable cash, they've got great credit, they've got a little bit of savvy already, and they understand value. And the value that I bring is that I'm doing it right there with them. I have 42 rental doors, and so we get to have conversations about my mistakes, my successes, my failures, and everything along the way.
Love it. So 2 homework assignments for anyone that wants to, follow up to this. 1, Todd Bookspan interviewed Steve Chatter, who is the author of Hold with Gary Keller. Great book. I highly recommend you listen to this. They talked about mortgage professionals helping and supporting the investor community. We're going to be doing another Friday mastermind. Every Friday, 9 o'clock, we do a mastermind around helping and supporting investors. And Cody, when we have that next call and we have Steve on the call, I'm going to invite you. I hope you can make it.
I love it. I've read that book amongst a couple other ones before I got started. So yeah, that's a great one. I'd love it.
Yeah, and we're going to have the author, just brainstorming and masterminding with us. Also, it reminded me, Josh Metal, who I've interviewed a number of times, is also a pretty prolific real estate investor. When I interviewed him, there's 2 big interviews. I'm going to put a link to both of them down below. One, his prospecting regimen. I think I called it gratefulness for gratitude for gratefulness. He talked about his prospecting regimen. I'm going to put a link down below on that. And then he also did an interview where he just talked about principles of success that have, really led to his success. And one of them was investing in real estate. And I'm going to put a link down to that below. One, I think it's a really important message for new loan officers getting into the mortgage space. I mean, learning from Cody, learning from Josh. And that brings up my close to my last question, because I know we're going to have a few more. But there's a lot of new loan officers coming into the business. And I'd love for you to give them some words of wisdom. But I almost want you to do it like if you were speaking to yourself back when you first started, what would be some pearls of wisdom that you'd give me loan officers that you'd give to yourself in the first year that you started the business?
Yeah, that's a great one. I think number one is the database is going to be your key, right? And so, I talk to a lot of new agents and a lot of new loan officers, and a lot of times they'll say, well, I don't have any closings. I don't have any past clients. Great. But you know people, right? And I'd say, go to your Facebook feed, go to your Instagram feed, go to your LinkedIn. Those are your people. Start there, right? I mean, most of us probably could find 2,000 people right there, right? Not all of them are going to be clients, but that's your database to get started. And then start working that database. It's basically free, right? A lot of times people come in, they want to spend a bunch of money on Zillow. They want to spend a bunch of money on marketing or advertising or whatever. Really, the best key thing there is to spend some money on getting a good database and getting a phone system so that you can make a lot of calls, right? So I would say if you're not prospecting at least 20 hours a week as a new loan officer, then you're not going to make it at the pace that you could otherwise. And honestly, you're kidding yourself. If you don't have 20 hours a week as a new loan officer to prospect, then you're doing something wrong, right? Like you've got to figure that out, right? More than half of your time should be spent prospecting, and then spend half the time actually doing the loans. And so many times people will mistake that, right? They'll prospect, work really hard and get a loan, and then it's the only thing they focus on for the next 30 days. And then they find themselves 30 days later with no prospects, right? I've been there, right? I've done this. I only say this because me 18 years ago did exactly that, right? I would prospect until I got 1 or 2 deals, and then I would see those deals through the end. Those people would get the most red carpet customer service ever because it was all I did, right? Instead, carve off half your day for prospecting, half your day for running a loan, and you will do much better.
Love that. And guys, I hope you heard that takeaway. Start with the CRM. You get to pick your habits, and then your habits pick your career. And if you pick that habit that he just said, make prospecting half a day, use your CRM. By the way, start using MortgageCoach. First year in the business, I've interviewed so many loan officers that didn't, and they're like, God, I wish I would have started with, delivering a total cost analysis. Don't wait. Any advice you have for new loan officers? And by the way, give this advice, whether it's a new LO getting in the business or it's someone that's struggling around giving a total cost analysis to every family, because I get asked all the time where, well, I'm going to wait until I get to a certain level of success to do it, or I don't do it for every family, and they have all kinds of reasons why they pick and choose who they give a TCA to. If you wouldn't mind giving some advice to that group.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite quotes that I harken back to regularly is, you can have excuses or you can have results, but you can't have both. And so, if you've got excuses as to why you're not doing something, that's fine. You can have those, but you won't ever get the results that you're looking for until you get rid of the excuses. And so for me, moving to TCA for everybody was key as well, right? I mean, that is, like you said, I think CRM and load it up with 2,000 names from Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, whatever. Get a dialer so that you can massively call those folks, and then get some way to be able to perform annual mortgage reviews. Because chances are, if you get 1,000 or 2,000 people in that database, they're going to have mortgages, some of them. If they don't, perfect. They're your first-time homebuyer categories, right? And then categorize these folks, right? You call through this database, find out if they have a house. If they do, get their mortgage information and ask if you can monitor their mortgage for them for no charge. Get yourself MortgageCoach, put them in there, build a TCA for them right away. Do it based on the strategy that I had, where you've got multiple ways to sell. You're not always going to do a rate and term refi. You could maybe do a term reduction. You could maybe do a ARM to save a few bucks while they're waiting to move on to the next place. Maybe you can do cash out and present. Now you've got cash out and they're thinking about investment property. Now you ask them, hey, who helped you buy your house? Did you have a great experience with it? You did? Great. Would you mind introducing me to them? And I'm going to tell them that we just freed up $200,000 for you to go buy a fourplex, and we're going to make some money together, right? How awesome is that? Now, not only do you have all these names of these people that you already know, they like you, they trust you, and now you've got their real estate agent that's in your database too. And by the way, you just created a commission for them.
I love it. And by the way, new loan officers, I mean, think of how fast you'd get good at this if you just started managing mortgages. You would learn the mortgage business. You would be building these clients for life. Your confidence would go up. So get out there, get after it. I've had a bunch of people say, hey, I didn't know Jingo had the automated annual review. For anybody that wants to be among the first to get access to that, just email me, dave@mortgagecoach.com. I'll forward it to someone on my team, and we'll make sure that that gets activated, or just reach out to the Jingo crew. It's ready to roll, and we would love to hear more success stories around that. So Cody, I want to end on time. Super grateful for an hour of your time. Would love to have you back on a Friday mastermind. Any last words of wisdom for the community before we leave?
Oh man, I just, that got me kind of energized just talking about how to get started, right? Like I love it. Like I'm ready to go try on a new marketplace, but that really is the secret for success, right? I mean, just get the names, start calling, and find ways to make a win, right? So you're not going to get a bunch of new clients just by presenting a rate and term refi, right? You've got to figure out ways that are, 5, 6 different ways that you could create a win for a client to make a sale, and to be able to spin the, no, this doesn't work for you. I see that doesn't work for you, but what about this one? This one does have a good, a good end result. And that's where, for me, that's where the total cost analysis comes from, right? I was in the mortgage business in 2000. I had 13 years experience doing the same year over and over and over again. It wasn't really until 2013 that I said, okay, enough's enough. I need a system. I need a process. And for me, it was database, and it was TCAs for everybody, and regular annual mortgage reviews. And it made all the difference for me.
Boom. Love that. If you got value from today's call, give us a like, whether you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, like it, share it with your mortgage friends. Cody, you were an awesome interview, brother.
Thanks,
really
Dan. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, everybody. This call is a wrap. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.